Is that what this does? Is that what this mode does? Like where it makes it to where it's like just after you win, it's just impossible to win? That's the way it feels. Hello adventurers. Today let's dive into Arcane Labyrinth, which is one of my favorite game modes that could be added to a game. I really like when they have these, and I've been seeing them in gachas regularly, and that is roguelites. Roguelites are a great game mode that can be frustrating and difficult, but rewards you with experimentation and also rewards for basically doing impractical things. And playing this mode, I was very excited initially. I enjoyed playing this game mode because it had a lot to it where it was like, oh wow, we are getting extra stat boosts and we are getting variances in team comps, but it seems that all of this was kind of a ruse, or at least what is left of it is just kind of a hollow of what it used to be. It doesn't really have very many rewards. You only get a few invite letters, and the reward system kind of only works for your guild rankings, and so it kind of just becomes another series of things that can be only beneficial to your pay-to-win players, your whales, who contribute the most to the game. And it's not that I have a problem with that. I mean, honestly, you pay it, you get it type of thing. But honestly, leaving nothing as sort of scraps for players who are contributing their time to this, it just becomes kind of something that people don't use. And if you've never done it before, one of the biggest things about this is that it mirrors a lot of the similar features of a roguelite. You clear the levels, you earn rewards, and this helps you tackle tougher foes. Whereas you start with a power level above your foes start to match and then overcome you, just like you would in AFK stages. But what ends up happening is those first 10 stages are like a breeze. They're a walk in the park. It's so easy to do. And then afterwards, RNG starts hitting you hard. You start getting, maybe you didn't get good RNG with your relics, and you only get one relic refresh, so there's not too much opportunity to shift your luck. And your stat boosts like vitality, haste, attack, they almost feel like they do nothing. Maybe the ones that are noticeable are things like stunning. You can notice that pretty easily, and then energy gains. But if you don't have an already good team comp, it's not going to work. Like, say if one of your team members die in those early teen levels, like, you're not going to recover. Or if you didn't get any resurrection or enough resurrection, then you're not going to recover. If your tank got nuked and your team comp is broken, you can't recover from that. There's not enough in the game to adjust and make your team comp work. So at a certain point, for me, it was like typically around the 15 to 17 levels, your weapons turn to what is basically silly putty, and you're just whacking them with it, and it just does nothing to them. And so sadly, by the end of it, even if you maybe just didn't get good RNG, the reward system doesn't give you enough to make you feel like it is worth doing beyond it anyways. And really, it's endless mode that it features. It's only 20 levels from what I can gather. It's an unbeatable boss, which you can only get points from then, depending on how much damage you do to that boss. And even the highest clears, the rank 1 clears, aren't doing this. They're getting maybe to the level 15 barrier, and then the difficulty becomes so steep that they can't go beyond. And so it just becomes this thing of like, well, who can get the furthest? Well, let's look at some of the numbers in that. And so what becomes staggering in this is that to clear the first 20 levels that it has, or the 20 levels that the game mode has, requires a 3 million power baseline on difficulty 6 to do, from what I can gather and kind of average. And to put that in perspective, the minimum requirements in order to access stage 5, difficulty 5, those first 15 stages, you need about half that. So a double increase just to reach that. And nobody below this is getting to that level without a power level of near that. So you're not even going to be ranking. If even that only gives you a maybe top 200 spot on the leaderboards. So it's not really giving you anything, just getting on the leaderboards and getting some points. After that, it just becomes basically who can get to level 15. And so I don't want this to be negative. I want to talk about what we can do to improve this. So what can we do? I think adjusting that difficulty curve is step one. I think progression has to be smooth. It cannot be this steep climb where it's like, all right, everything that you've done, if you haven't got it together by now, you're not going to make it. You're not going to clear even the level 16. From what I've seen and what I've attempted, I've only ever gotten, I think, max level 17, 18-ish before I can't do anything. And that was times where I've cleared level 15 with ease and 0 deaths at sometimes. So it's not clear where that happens, or why that happens. It's just so steep. And then second is make it actually endless. Why shouldn't it be endless? I think if your stats start to increase and your buffs increase, those are great along the way, but why aren't we giving benefits to heroes and their factions that we choose and the classes we choose? I've seen some things where previously if the featured hero would get a buff to their abilities, but why are we just buffing certain heroes? Buff the class, the heroes you choose. That way you can make some crazy team comps. Give some characters that don't get some light or aren't meta. Give them the chance to be meta in this situation. That would be amazing for the game mode. So I think if you change the ultimate, sort of like how in honor duels you can get artifacts that change a certain character's outright, making Muriel's ultimate basically a Kamehameha would be insane. And so I think doing that, maybe like something like make characters that don't synergize well, all of a sudden they synergize in this situation because they got one certain relic that makes them synergize, would be amazing. And so I think this would give a peek into an alternate reality where a character, someone like Khafra, is good at something finally. So let's adjust that difficulty curve and make it enjoyable in the process. Second, I think we need to revamp these rewards. I think bringing back that reward path is a start. But why wouldn't we want to see our heroes scale and then not be rewarded for our like going through that difficulty? I think endless hero essence or a RNG set of rewards depending on how far you clear, with a higher chance depending on if you clear further. Like why shouldn't we get more rewards for going further, experimenting more, trying different team comps, giving a insight into what could this character do if given the right tinkering or the right amount of crazy. Third thing is incentivizing those deep runs. So the deeper clears honestly need to give those better rewards. We need to encourage experimentation and showcase that non-meta characters can be good in these high scale situations, but also leaderboards should be divided by the difficulty levels we're clearing. So if we're doing a difficulty clear at a lower level, our characters are brought down to that level because all your characters are going to start at a certain baseline depending on what difficulty you're in. This makes it to be sort of like Honor Duel, where kind of everyone's on an even playing field, where everyone's team is brought down to a lower level, and you have to have more skill with those characters in order to bring them to the highest level. It should be even playing field. This should be another even playing field game, but the way it plays is basically you're not going to be able to do it until you reach a certain power level that is only accessible really to people who pay into the game. So I think the difficulty, because your characters are put on this even playing field. It should be even. It only makes sense to me. So overall, I think, like I was saying earlier, 20 levels is hardly an endless mode. Especially when this game mode, you can essentially leave when you want to and then come back to it and play again. Why not make it 1,000? Why not make it more? Let us put as much into it and get equally as much out of it. Let us break the game. Let us break it to unreasonable levels. I don't know. I just think that would be neat. So all that said, I think, unfortunately, the Arcane Labyrinth for most people is gathering dust worse than Atalanta did after we realized that her place in the story did not match her tier list ranking, and her doing actually worse than hamsters across the board. It was unfortunate how staggering, like when I realized, oh, this game mode doesn't really have anything else to it. So I think it's time for a change. And I think with your support, we can make it known. We can make it happen. As we close, big thanks to Zebo, whose videos provided a great deal of insight into this game mode. Of course, if you liked the video, give it a like and don't forget to subscribe, as I hope to continue to improve and share moments and more insights along the way. You all have doubled my view count in the past month, and I've been ever thankful, and I want to improve, and I want to take your criticisms and get into the space and do better in the space, because this is my first gacha game, and I want to contribute something to it, back to it, and I hope that my experience and some other games I played can hopefully provide something into that. As always, thank you for watching, and may fortune favor your journey. See you in the next one. Is that what this does? Is that what this mode does? Like, where it makes it to where it's like, just after you win, it's just impossible to win? That's the way it feels. How was I supposed to win that? Such a stark difference, you know? I'm gonna try again.